I want to talk about demand avoidance, Shannon.
Yeah, tonight is the first time I've ever heard that term.
Yeah.
Tell me what it is.
Yeah, and like I'm only ahead of you by about 2 days, let's say. So the idea is, and when I heard the term, it didn't mean anything to me, but when it was explained, it was like, right, okay, yes, I resemble this remark. Yes. So it's an internal resistance to doing the things you want to do, plan to do, agree that need to be done, but it spikes when that feels like an obligation or an expectation or, as the term goes, a demand, right? Even when that demand is self-imposed, right? It's still hard to get started. When you said, this start before you're ready, it was like, wait, this aligns with something I've been thinking about, right?
Clearly you've been talking to my wife. Because I totally, and it must be like an ADHD type thing where
it's 100%
an ADHD. I need someone to
thing.
tell me what to do all the time, but I can't stand someone telling me what to do all the time, right?
Exactly.
That's
exactly. Yeah, and it does. It shows up as like procrastination, task switching, that loss of motivation.
Oh, dude,
right?
I totally have this.
Yep. And it's as I'm reading more about it, it's not laziness, right?
Okay,
I mean, neither one of us are lazy people. I mean, I describe us as lazy podcasters, but that's just a kitschy term.
Yeah.
But it's actually a nervous system response, and it's 100% related to ADHD, right? And it fits because ADHD, you have like the difficulty starting tasks, right? Or perhaps the difficulty starting tasks that don't have any novelty to them, right? It's very easy to be like...
Yeah, and is it related to like they don't have any dopamine?
Correct.
Right? Okay,
yes,
perfect.
That's exactly right. Yes, okay. The task. That's another way of saying... Yes, in my notes it says... ADHD brains struggle with dopamine regulation, a.k.a. tasks without novelty or urgency feel painful. Okay. So I was being less clinical about it, but you hit the nail on the head.
Speaking my language, dude.
I know. It's the same thing. But it's that for those of us who resemble ADHD, I've never been technically diagnosed, but let's be real.
I'm going to just diagnose you right now.
Yeah, I know.
Okay,
yeah.
It's okay. And I was a technician, so
I had been seeing. I started seeing a therapist a couple of years ago when I had some things going on in like my family, like extended family life, and it was just good to talk to somebody. Yeah, and I told him, I'm like, I probably resemble ADHD. He's like, have you ever been diagnosed? I'm like, no, if you want to. He's like, it's really not necessary. I'm like, great, then we'll move on with the more important things.
Yeah.
And about 2 years into it, at one moment he said to me, he's like, remind me, are you on meds for your ADHD? And I'm like, there's the diagnosis. That's it.
Yeah.
Yep. But it's that, that when the task switches to becoming an I want to an I should, that's when you feel like you've lost autonomy and, it's like, get this thing out of my life. And it's difficult, right?
What tools are at our disposal to deal with this? So
I've already seen, I think probably you and I have found, it's all about learning how to live with yourself, right?
Yeah,
and
that's
right. We're not young men anymore. We've had enough, we've had some experience with living in our own heads. I remember one thing that you did that I really liked when we were talking about our to-did lists, and I asked, well, do you keep a to-do list? And you said, I do not keep a to-do list. I keep a reminders list. So that idea of reframing, I mean, it's the same freaking list.
Yeah,
right?
it is.
But,
it is.
But that reframing is really important because that reminders list gives you autonomy. It reminds it is there because you want to remind yourself to do something, not you want to tell yourself to do something.
Not this list in front that you have to check off and this.
Correct.
Kind of thing. Yeah.
Correct. So that's one of the things. Another is finding some small part of the task that you can do in 2 minutes or less. Right? To just get over the hump. And candidly, now once I started reading about it, it was like, wait a minute, this is why ChatGPT helps me with this demand avoidance thing. Because I'll go into ChatGPT and be like, I don't know where to start on this. make up something for me, even if if it comes up with something bad, it's fine. Now I'm in it. Now I'm like,
well, it often, people talk about prompting the AI. I find that the AI often gives me prompts to start.
Yes.
Right? Like, oh yeah, I'm not going to do what you just said, but you made me think, or you helped me think of a different framework or a different way to look at this thing.
Yep.
That's cool.
And another one that came up on the list, which is kind of funny because we talked about it on the show not that long ago, because I found that it really worked for me. No great surprise here, is that idea of body doubling, right? Where you've got somebody, even though and as a quick recap, the idea of body doubling is being in the same space as someone else who is working, but you're not working together.
Yeah.
It's just the idea of being around people who are working makes it easier to do work for those of us that
you pace and pace.
You pace. Correct.
I always say, I still get out of bed early in the morning to impress my wife because she's getting out of bed.
Right.
And I'm not an early morning person. I'm a night person. Like you, my whole kind of whatever they call it, circadian rhythm starts up again at about 10, 11 o'clock at night. And I could work for a few more hours. And so it's, now it's like, okay, but at 6:30 or 7 o'clock, if the house is moving, I'm moving. Right?
Interesting.
So, yeah.
Huh. Yeah.
But if nobody was there, I'd be like, I'll get up at 9.
It's true. If I notice that there's people like working in the house, I'm like, it's time to get up and I gotta join them.
If I hear footsteps and people talking, I'm like, I'm up.
I gotta go.
Yeah.
Yep. And like, I don't see that as a bad thing.
No,
it's just,
I don't think...
it's just how it is. Yeah.
I agree. You don't want to be, a lot of it, some of it could be FOMO, but it doesn't really matter why.
No.
It's just a tool to get you moving in the right direction.
I think, and I mean, all of this is related now. It's easy to connect the dots in hindsight, but we've talked occasionally on the show about, I have this concept of discipline points that we each get to spend each day. You wake up with a fixed amount of them. And so the idea is finding ways of starting tasks without spending those discipline points, right?
Yeah,
so
I like it.
That motivation of like, wait, somebody else is working, FOMO, I love that. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
So
little rewards,
little rewards.
things. I think it really works.